Alrighty, welcome to our Thursday. It is Thursday, right? Still on
It's been a week.
Vet days, okay. But welcome to our Thursday Dojo here. Today we are kind of wrapping up our Wizard of Oz theme topic here, where we talked about heart yesterday. We talked about wisdom before, and today we are talking about courage. So, to really start it off quick, Mike, how do you exemplify courage over a phone?
Courage over the phone. It's a little tricky, but we have a lot of adversity because our clientele is getting bombarded.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have somebody answer the phone, you got to have the courage to hear them pin back your ears about, don't call me. And you I understand. Courage is persevering and keep asking, because your intentions are you want the best for your guest and your client. So perseverance.
And that kind of follows up on our heart discussion too, where it's like people can tell when you're on the phone with them if you actually do want to help them or not.
Right.
You can tell. And I was telling Victoria and Grip this yesterday, I've gotten voicemails back where people that are like, look, dude, I get 5 or 6 voicemails a day.
Right.
But I could tell that you wanted to actually help me in your voice. So I think a lot of it kind of has to come to with the heart. But I know we've got a good mix of people here. So Penny, how do you kind of portray courage while you're on the phone with people, while you're through the sales process, while you're closing? How do you kind of see yourself as being courageous?
Well, one of the things is, sometimes we have people that we're talking to that we're trying to help them save money. They're trying to change plans and they have to go through underwriting. And depending on what's going on with their health, if they have anything new or big that just happened or, recently, you have to be brave enough to explain to them, you can't change it yet. You won't get through the underwriting process with whatever just happened 2 months ago, or whether that's a stroke or some AFib or something, but you have to explain to them it's not going to make it through any underwriting for you to save money just yet. But here's when we can talk again and, try to, maybe you can help them save money on their drug plan or do something else that is helpful to them. But sometimes you have to answer some tough questions and be ready to explain the reality to them about what's really going on with, their plan or underwriting or whatever.
Let's get a little bit deeper here on surface level here. Victoria, you call me and I go, why the hell are you calling me? Go.
You have to have the courage to say, I don't know, why did you reach out to me? Or you asked me for help. So how can I help you? Keep the net wide. You have to have the courage to go toe to toe with someone who is answering the phone in such an antagonistic way. You can't let that scare you off. So that you have to have courage with that.
That brings me to the point I want to make here, and I was kind of telling everybody a little bit this morning, but I want to go over it here just so everybody can listen to it. It's very hard for some people to do this, and it's a very hard habit to break. But you need to stop calling them yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. Or thank you, ma'am, thank you, sir. Or Mr. Howard or Mrs. Howard. All of that here, because really you're putting yourself on a lower pedestal than they are. And in the way that you're talking to them, I bet they probably already think that if you're doing it. If I call you, Mike, out of the blue, and I say, Mr. De Leon, how's it going? My name is Jacob Crotty here. I'm here to help you. Or if I say, hey, Mike, it's Jacob here. How's it going? If I'm approaching you as we are the same level here, you do not have any hierarchy over me, and I don't have any hierarchy over you. We are equals with the same problem. You have a problem. I have a solution. That's why we're here together. No one is better than the other one. That's why Frank Bryant, man, if you guys were here that one day, this was like a year ago or so. This was one of the funniest things ever. Actually, I think you guys might have been here when there was a lady that called in looking for help. And I mean, he was on the phone for 3 hours with her. And she called Chris first. And Chris was like, she called in. He was like, okay, yes, ma'am. And she goes, don't call me ma'am. That's rude and aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I'm so sorry. I was raised here in Texas. It's just polite. My bad. I won't call you ma'am. And then he like went through something again. And he was like, okay, ma'am, let me see. And she was like, stop calling me ma'am. That is rude. And he was like, all right, fine. I'll stop. Let me go grab somebody. And she just kept getting more mean and more mean. And she hung up. Okay. And so then she called back in again. And we were like, Frank, why don't you take this one? Frank takes it. Of course, he's like, thank you for calling Medicare Gurus. This is Frank Bryan. How may I direct your call? Goes through and he's like, okay, ma'am, well, let me see what we can do. And she goes, if your organization does not stop calling me ma'am. And he goes, okay, well, then we're going to be on a first name basis. So your first name is Marianne. My first name is Frank. That is how we're going to address each other. But the funniest part about it is Frank couldn't beat his own cycle because every 30 minutes he would say, okay, yes, ma'am. Well, I'm just looking. And she would get pissed. And then he'd have to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. It just happens naturally. And then 30 minutes again, boom, right. He would say it and she would get mad again. And a lot of times, we don't know how people are going to take what we say.
Right.
Like for her, it was a derogatory term where that was just how she was brought up. Anytime you called somebody ma'am or sir or anything like that, they were looking down upon you.
Well, and also I know in Southern California, if you call any of my girlfriends and they're in their 40s, ma'am, that to them is you're calling them old or older, and they take offense to that. I mean, I've literally heard them say that to like waiters and such. Please don't call me that. How old do you think I really am? Yeah. And I'm like, that's how some females will look at it. So do be mindful, men. that could bite you in the butt.
I think it's not only women, it's men too. And this is kind of where you have to have the courage within yourself to see yourself on the same level. So if I'm talking to you, Mike, and I'm like, hey, Mike, how's it going? And you go, it's Mr. De Leon to you. And I go, okay, then it's Mr. Crotty to you here.
Put him on it.
I'm not going to apologize for calling you by your first name because that is your legal first name. That's what you were called. Now, if you go by Chip or something like that, I get that. I'll put the note, all right, man, I'll call you Chip from here on out. Okay. But if you say it's Mr. De Leon, I'm going to garner that same respect back from you.
Sure.
Because again, too, this is where the confidence comes into play. If you are doing that, if you're backtracking, if you're saying, I'm sorry, or I apologize, is it early? Is it too early to call you? If you're doing that, you're immediately backtracking and you're losing every bit of power that you gained in that conversation. So next one here, Allison, show me the courage that you have when I say I'm busy.
The courage. Well, I get that one a lot, and then I normally say, explain what we do. Like I did today, some gentleman answered the phone that was on the non-client, so he obviously was, was on there, and I explained that he'd asked for help, and he goes, well, I don't have the time for that. And I said, well, let me just explain who we are real quickly. I thought he'd hang up. That does happen. And I have called back. I've done that one where you're like, well, I'll call back, and I'm like, I didn't know if there was some phone issue here, but I figured since we're on, since I got you again. While you have me on the line, is there anything you want to ask me? I did have a guy that, just kind of like this guy, they were not rude after that. This guy didn't hang up on me, but I thought he might, and he goes, okay, what do you do? I said, well, what we do is we're actually an independent enrollment center, and we offer people help by looking into what you're currently paying in Medicare or what coverage you have. See if you get details onto your specific situation and dig into that. Make sure that you got all your options, out there and that you got the best pricing. And he goes, well, I don't need that help. I'm really good where I'm at. But he did thank me and said, I hope you have a great day. And then he hung up. He didn't let me push through it. But that used to be something I was very uncomfortable with because I was learning Medicare and also on the phone, which kind of like I threw that line to you, but I appreciate it. I know you both have done this and as my mentor and what you did with that Deborah lady and getting me the phone. If you didn't throw me in the fire, I wouldn't learn. You know, you got to do that and go uncomfortable. And that's for me what it was. And it's always been in sales. When you're learning something new, where you're uncomfortable, and when you feel that discomfort, the natural instinct for me, at least, I'm sure for most of you, is to back away from it. But once you pass jump over those hurdles, you feel a lot more confident. You're like you got that. You don't need that armor anymore. You think
Right.
you do.
And you don't have time for what? What if I was Publishers Clearinghouse?
Exactly.
You don't have time for the grand prize?
That's how you go.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
$7
Oh,
million
you
a
have
week
time for
or
that.
whatever.
That's a good one. See.
Here we go. So, Stephen, we're talking about courage today, as we were scheduled to.
Nice.
Show me your courageous side here. When I say I'm busy, and I'm a client.
Okay.
So you call me and go, can't talk. I'm busy.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that you're busy. You did reach out for some Medicare information. Is there any questions that you have right now that I can help you with while I have you on the phone? And if they're like, well, I have one question, then I'm in.
Mhm.
If they're like, no, I don't. And if they're being curt with me, I'll say, okay, sounds like you are very busy. Is there a better time I can reach out to you? And if they say, if I'm reading their voice,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm on the attack. So if there's any crack, I'm going to get in. So if it's like, oh, I can do it at this time, I'll say to them, well, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm busy too. So let me try and let me look at my calendar, see if I'm available during that time. And either they'll stay on and we'll make a time, and then I'll try and work in some conversation, or if they don't have time, they'll hang up.
And that's exactly what a lot of new agents go through. And we're really doing this for people that are kind of starting their career and getting their foot. There's a group of 4 people over there that have been doing this for less than 2 months. And what have they run into a lot recently? Oh, the person I've talked to 4 or 5 people a day, but man, they're all going to doctor's appointments right when they pick up the phone. And then you have to kind of, you're just like, oh, sweetie. They're sweetie, no, they're not going to any doctor's appointment. They just don't like you.
Right.
Or they think you're a waste of time, or what it is. Christopher Lacey, he's been killing some of these leads that we have here. I remember this is when I was sick, when I just heard him working, and this guy was just an a-hole.
Mhm.
Like he was the type where he was a retired lawyer, and he was asking like, how do you get paid commissions? How much commissions do you make per sale? Like, what's your average sale per client? And all this other stuff that does not matter.
Mhm.
And bless his heart, he was like, I'm sorry, I don't have that. He just kept saying, I'm sorry. And I put him in Slack, and I was like, look, you got to put your foot in the dirt here with this type of person. This type of person is just pushing you around.
Mhm.
They don't think that you're on a level that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
They think that you're lower than them.
That's probably for his own entertainment.
Exactly.
Go on and dance for me.
And it's what they do. And there are some times where people do that for their own entertainment.
Mhm.
How many cold calls have you gotten from recruiters where you're like, I'm just going to listen?
Yeah.
I got one. Was that from you last week, Mike? I think
Yep.
it was one guy was calling in for Jacob. I'm like, who's this guy? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So I picked up. He was like, hey, man, I'm from such and such agency. And I was like,
Wow, that's
oh.
ballsy.
I was
Calling
like,
you at your current agency.
I was like, oh, okay. He was like, yeah, man, I've got some new appointments that do not want to talk to you about. He was like, are you appointed? And I was like, actually, I'm selling, and it's AEP.
Yeah.
And you're calling me about my appointments, trying to get more. He's like, yeah, man. Well, I'm just trying out here. And I was like, look, I appreciate it, but I'm just not interested, man. I could have went on for him for 30 minutes.
Oh, Greg, I'm busy selling right now, actually.
And just went along too. But I was like, no, man, it's like, look, man, I can't talk to you right now. Yeah. I can't, not during AEP.
Mhm.
But for Christopher, when that happened, that guy, bless his heart, he was just trying to pounce all over him.
Mhm.
That he could tell that he was like, okay, this guy, he's a little shaky right now. He doesn't believe in himself. I'm in control here. I'm doing everything. And I'm like, no, you have to, people that are like that, you have to have the courage to come back. And you say, I'm busy. You know what? I'm busy too. And guess what? You
Right.
got us both. We got each other on the line here.
Right.
So how long have you been on Medicare? It's one that I was telling them too. It's such such an easy transition where people use the excuse that, oh, I have a doctor's appointment. And for you immediately to go, oh man, they're busy. I want to call you back. Because what do 90% of people say when they go, oh, I'm actually at the door heading to a doctor's appointment. Okay, well, let me call you back this afternoon when you're done with the doctor's appointment. And then you look at old Jacob at his desk and you go, hey, should I mark this to appointment set? And then what do I ask you? Penny, what do I ask you when we talk about appointment sets?
Right. Well, you need to put in a specific time, but you should be telling them what time.
Well, no. What question do I ask? And you're like, should I set this appointment?
Well, you should continue
Are they-
talking.
Are they going to pick up?
Yeah. No, they're not. They're not going to pick up. They'll go, oh,
Exactly.
that's somebody, whoever calls, don't pick up the phone this afternoon.
Exactly, because it's just an objection,
Mhm.
and especially when you talk about courage, that's one too where you have to be, courage and confidence kind of go hand in hand in this profession here, or you have to have that confidence to go, you know what, they're busy, I'm busy too. Okay, so a lot of times whenever I get that objection, or hey, I have a doctor's appointment coming up. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Oh, it's just your annual physical. Oh, perfect. Yeah, man. Hope you're doing fine. Do you have any health conditions that they're looking for? And you just continue it, because I've gotten people to pull over when they're driving. I've done phone signatures while people are driving before, and health questions and everything like that. Because if you have that confidence and that courage behind it, they're bought in immediately. That is just the easiest way to get you off the phone. It's
Right.
just to say, hey, I'm busy. Can you call me later? Well, I can, but it's not going to mean the same here. That's why a lot of the business that we do, and if you guys have noticed here, it's not a 7 or 8 time follow-up.
Right.
It's really not. And
Yeah.
unless there is I have a surgery coming up next week. Okay.
Mhm.
That's a little different.
Right.
That's very different. But a lot of what we do in this industry, it's a one call close.
Right.
It's because you have to have that confidence behind it to go, you know what? You're on the phone. I'm on the phone. There is no better time now than the present.
Right.
So we are going to get this done.
Yeah, what I pivoted to is, when they're like, I'm busy, or I'm calling somewhere, I say, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Listen, while I have you on the phone, just let me gather some information real quick, just some basic stuff, just so we can verify that I'm talking to the right person. And then I stay on the phone, like
Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
because they are lying to me.
Mhm.
I even use that one. I don't use. One time I said, "Oh, what are you going for? What are you going to the doctor's for?" That's private. I said, "I'm just asking because I want to make sure if it's a checkup or if it's a." That's my awkward. I don't care about awkward vibes.
Right.
I gotten back to. I had to learn the lesson the hard way to go back to. Oh, going for a checkup. That's good. You don't want to get checked up. That's more natural and more comforting. I'm like creepy, like. What are you doing? But my mindset is I'm on the phone with them. I don't care about the awkwardness. I don't
Right.
care that you're giving me an excuse to get off the phone.
Yes.
It's the same understanding of you're on the phone, I'm on the phone, we're both busy,
Right.
but I'm not talking to you to try and sell you some Amazon products or trying to find out about your limited warranty. I'm here to save your life.
Yeah.
And I've said that. I said, I'm here to save your life.
Yeah.
And I do like a little awkward pause, and it's like okay, it's like what I mean is I'm here to offer you and recommend to you things that are going to help you take care of yourself. And once they hear that resonance in the voice, once they hear that understanding that I want to help them, I'm not BSing them. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm trying to help them.
Can I ask you a question, Stephen, on that? That's really good, by the way. And I noticed like that comes with every kind of sales I've had. But this is what would come around to my question. It's the confidence, right? When you first started that, you had to build on your confidence to know that your value, that you're offering them. Now, I think we've all gotten to that point. When you save people money, when you can hear the gratitude of their voice, is that where, you start getting that confidence? Because I know I feel a little more confident now. I can break down some barriers, but I'm not quite there yet where I can do
Right.
what you're saying yet.
Well, what I've learned is, being a chatty Cathy like myself, I learned to use my words effectively.
Okay.
So to talk to them and say, with an air of confidence, oh yeah, I'll be able to help you. I'll be able to do this. I'll be able to do that. It's just air that they're breathing in. what got me to be a better agent is I want to be the best at everything in the sale.
Right.
I want to know that I'm going to close this deal as soon as I get on the phone with them.
Right.
Like, I don't care. Like, it's kind of that darkness that I have inside of me, like the soullessness. I don't care about you. But the paradox is I don't care about you in your way of pushing me back because I really care about you and wanting to take care of you.
Yes.
When I understood that paradox, I'm like, I don't care about your objections right now. I don't care that you're having to go to the doctors
Right.
or your grandson is driving you crazy. I don't care. What I do care about is you have my time right now
And you're going to help them.
and we're going to take care of this.
Yeah.
Because what my old mentor helped me with, and Frank kind of helped me with too, is as soon as that phone call is done,
Mhm.
something has happened.
Yeah.
Something has to happen, whether it's a deal,
Mhm.
whether it is, a rescheduling because of a health concern,
Mhm.
they need to know, like, look, your game of trying to push me off the phone
Mhm.
is weak.
Right.
You're gonna have to do better than that. You're gonna have to say that your husband is in an ambulance right now for me to get off the phone with you.
Right.
Like, I have a doctor's appointment. I don't care.
Why are you answering the phone?
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't answer the phone when I'm like to tell somebody I'm
Yeah.
going to the doctors. I just don't answer the phone.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So you have me on the phone.
Mhm.
You know how lucky you are to have me on the phone right now?
Right. Yeah. It's not a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
Well, it is a happy
No,
coincidence.
I'm not sounding as arrogant as I'm
Mhm.
presenting right now, but that's my tone.
Right.
Like I don't have patience for your
Right.
objection game.
Right.
So once I get past that,
Mhm.
then it's like, okay, you get to that confidence, like, look, this is a battle, but it's a
Yeah.
good battle. So
Right.
once I win, now I can get into what I really need to get into is the discovery. Now, how can I help you? Well, and I ask the questions, I dig into their history and blah, 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 and I move forward with the script.
Right.
But the reason that I'm able, and I'll wrap up with here, the reason that I'm able to keep them on the phone is because I don't care.
And that's good.
Here's your example from today alone. Chris was on the phone with somebody. Okay, this guy he was 66, had a Plan G, diabetes with insulin, neuropathy, heart attack.
Oh, wow.
But he went through everything, right? Gets me on the phone, and you kind of have to have that hard discussion where it's like, look, you're never, more than likely, ever going to qualify again for another Plan G. That's just a card that you're dealt with what you have. And he goes, oh yeah, I already knew it, but that Christopher guy, he just wouldn't let me off the phone until I talked to you. And I go, hell yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Way to
You
go.
wouldn't let me off the phone.
Way to go.
Yeah.
And other people would think of that as being like, oh my gosh, well, I'm so sorry. He wouldn't let you get off the phone. Immediately when he told me that, I slacked. I was go, way to go.
Yeah.
Right. That is a good.
That means that you did not get scared off.
Mm-hmm.
You had the courage to continue that conversation. Now, what I want a lot of people, and us here too, and the people that are going to watch this video, courage and objections are two different things. You can talk about objections all day long, but when you talk about the actual courage behind them, I think really the way to do it is you just got to throw yourself in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, if you know a little bit or if you know a lot, it doesn't matter. They can tell it in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
If you're kind of shaky on medications, if you're shaky on what it is, these people can tell. They can tell if you're a professional or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. I was going over today too, to where, you talk about confidence and courage and everything like that. It takes reps. It takes failure. It takes a whole lot to build yourself up. But Chris was asking me about, final expense and dental and vision. I go, okay, how are you asking the question when you bring it up to them? He's going, okay. So you've been on Medicare for this long, so you have a Plan G. Okay, do you have final expense? No, you don't. Okay. Do you have dental, vision, and hearing? No, you don't. Okay. Do you have a hospital indemnity plan? Cancer plan? No, you don't. Okay. Do you have a drug plan? Yes. So everything in his notes taking was Plan G, mutual, no, yes, no. And I go, have you ever thought to ask him who instead of yes or no? So when you're going through and you're saying, okay, how long have you been on Medicare?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who do you have for your current insurance? Is it Advantage plan, supplement plan? Who do you have for your final expense? Who do you have for your dental, vision, and hearing? Who do you have with your cancer policy with? That one simple switch
Mm-hmm.
changes from I'm just trying to get information to I'm trying to help you here.
Mhm.
And the only way that I would have ever found that out is because guess what? I did the do you have,
Mhm.
and guess what I sold?
Mhm.
None. Because you're not showing any value
Right.
or any confidence or any courage behind what you're talking about.
Mhm.
At that point, you're just reading down a list that somebody made you read. That's a checklist. It's just like you're at Discount Tire and they're just going through and they're just checking here.
Right.
There's no rhyme or reason to you asking. But when you will phrase it as, who do you have your final expense with?
Mhm.
Who do you have your burial policy with? That registers a little bit different than do you have one
Right.
versus who do you have?
Right. The
for?
person
goes back
sitting
to-
there. No, go ahead.
I would say that goes back to what you mentioned this morning with when you asked, well, you just said it a different way and you got all this information out of this lady. That takes years of cultivating and playing around with different
Phrasing. I
phrasing.
can tell, and you're questioning because it's different than every single person. Like if you're questioning tests, and we will say like to somebody, well, I've noticed some hesitation right there. I like how you phrase that because that will immediately open up a new dialogue for them because then she'll rephrase that question
Yeah.
again to them.
And there's no book that tells you how to, you should say who, and there's no book that teaches you how to ask the question the way I asked it to get her to admit all her health issues. It's trial and error. And it was years of just cultivating that and just learning from yourself and hearing things from others.
It was
That's
just
why,
so weird. to
yeah,
get
when you
that
hear things that
complete-
are successful from other agents, use it or try to use your own version of it. But and that started from day one of not having any confidence and not knowing what to say. And
Right.
I think one of my favorite quotes is, "There's no reality, only perception. You just fake it till you make it, baby."
Right.
And then the confidence, because who has a lot of confidence? Con men. And they don't have anybody's best interest in mind except for their own.
Yeah.
We do have their best interest in mind. So we need to be as confident as these con men that are trying to
Get in there.
take them off the path
Right.
of the right way to go.
Right.
And they're good at faking it and they don't know anything. We know everything. We just have to work on believing in ourselves and conveying
Right.
that we do.
Yeah, and you're really good with that too, conveying that because if somebody has a really good plan and she'll tell them right off the bat, like I'm glad you checked, and I'm glad that I could offer you this assistance too because it could give you some peace of mind. And I love that because you know what? You've got someone who's going to probably call back next time and they know that she's not going to just,
Right.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And some of those are the best referral sources.
Mhm.
She didn't even sell me anything. She
No.
told me I was on the right plan.
Mhm.
You need to talk to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing you have to remember is you are the expert.
That's right.
You are the expert.
We have something to offer.
And even if we do have something to offer, you're the expert. And because you have the resources.
Yeah.
So if there's something that you don't know,
Right.
you can find out.
I've got all of you.
Yeah.
Then do
But
know.
so they'll try and push back and say, oh, I have this, I have that. It's like, okay, but I'm the expert.
Right.
You don't know what you need.
And I'm slowly learning like everyone's like really strong points. Like we've got Brad like that we can go to like the health questions, because there's a plethora of things I don't know. You guys are really good with medications and health things, but I see you guys even ask Brad because he's been doing that for how long? I mean, for forever, like 13 years here. And
You're
so
never going to know everything.
right,
yourself.
Right.
because he was saying like it's the declines. I know we're taking it off. I'm taking off topic, but I was remembering that like when declines that he will go and contest it and get, what did you say, 80 to 90% approval after. So that's something to consider too.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
looking,
if you're waiting to exude confidence until you know everything, you ain't never going to do it.
right.
No.
But we have experts in all of you guys, so that's good.
That's also why we use each other.
Right.
That's why we bounce a whole lot of questions off each other.
Right.
Because what'd you say? Perception is reality.
That is true.
It's a whole thing. If you don't have the confidence behind what you're doing, little quick update for my under 65 person here. I had confidence that she was going to get approved. It came back and she came declined. Called the company and they said it was a phone interview, but she got a letter and said it was her prescription report. Get through her prescription report. She's had one doctor's visit in the past 2 years. And they declined her for a phone interview. So now we have to go and get a 2 years worth of health records and we have to get a note from the doctor too. You best believe when we call tomorrow, because she had to go into town today, when we call tomorrow and I talk to that underwriting department, I'm going to go, hello, you have Jacob Crotty and policy applicant here on the line here. I have done my research and it seems that she got declined for a phone interview. We would like a recording of the phone
Thank
interview
you.
where she said that
Amen.
where she said that she had a treatment in the past 2 years, because right here I have her health records that do not show she has any treatment, and it's the same health records that you received. So how would you like to go with sending me over the voice recording?
Can you request that?
Yes. With the policyholder on the line. That's exactly what's going to happen. And then what's going to happen? They're going to go, and then boom.
But why would they lie? Was it? Do you think
Because
it's
they
user
don't want
error?
to deal with it. They don't want to insure her.
They don't want to insure
They're
her
looking
because
out for
she's
their
under
bottom
65
line.
and she qualifies.
Sometimes
So
you
they
just
want
have
to
to make
pass the
people-
buck and say,
So
she
you
says,
found that you caught him.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to make
you gotta get us all
people
on
do
the
their
phone.
job.
That's right. You
That's
made
all
them
I'm
do
saying.
their
Do a
job.
video interview, we're all standing in the background.
That's sad, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
It is true.
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah.
Type of situation.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
But that
Because
is,
you're right, they can
Uh-huh.
do that.
Uh-huh.
But they illegally, I mean, is that illegal? Can you deny someone coverage just because you don't want to cover them?
I don't know. It will depend on what the
It's
phone,
only
what's in
illegal
the
when you get
actual phone
caught.
interview.
Or
Right.
you called out by Jacob
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, I mean, this could be off camera, but I'm wondering if, I mean,
We'll figure
I
it out.
think that there is, like the carrier can say, I don't want to, I don't want to.
Steven, you're telling me you're surprised that an insurance company would not be completely truthful? Is this what you're saying right now?
Okay, yes, I watched the movie Philadelphia. Yes, I know the history. I'm wondering how, especially with Medicare, how they get away with it. So I'm gonna watch this with
Saga.
both eyes.
The saga
I can't
unfolds.
wait.
But it goes back to, and this is what we'll kind of wrap up on here too. I know I'm right.
Mhm.
Okay. I can courageously say that in this situation, I know I am correct and somebody else is in the wrong.
Mhm.
I also know that when I can go back and say I am in the wrong and somebody else is in the right. But I have that belief in myself that, look, if we're going to take this as far as we're going to take it, damn it, we're going to get it
Do you believe her that she did not
fully.
answer? She could have made a mistake. I mean, she could have been her
Exactly.
mind.
I've had people before where they say
Yes.
they say they're diabetic and they ask them if they have nerve problems and they say, well, sometimes if I sit on the toilet too long, my foot falls asleep.
Right.
And then
Yes.
they say, well, you're diabetes with neuropathy, so
Right.
you're uninsurable.
Do you think that she could have given some vague answer that triggered that no?
Quite possible.
Okay. You just want to hear it.
I want to hear the recording of
Yeah.
it, is what I want
That's
to hear.
funny that you say that because a doctor, if you said that I sat on the toilet too long, my foot went numb, they would not say it's neuropathy. That doctors don't work that way.
No.
But an insurance company will say that you admitted
Right.
to having nerve
Yeah,
problems.
there was a carrier, I'm not gonna say their name,
Mm.
Transamerica. There were people that would call in and there would be this one client was like, do you use a cane? And the guy's like, oh, I just use a stick when I go hiking.
Oh, yeah, for fun.
Declined.
I mean, I see
Yeah.
people younger than myself out there hiking with those things
Yeah, but
too, because
they'll find any way. That's why when
Shoot.
we talk to these people that do phone interviews, you say you gotta treat it like the IRS. Yes or no. You're not lying to them, but don't give them anything to
Yeah.
deny you. Just
it's
say
like that
yes or
movie
no.
Along Came Polly. We saw how he put that little stuff in the computer, boop,
Yes.
boop, boop, uninsurable.
If you to choose between watching Philadelphia or Long Came Polly, definitely Long Came Polly.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston is fantastic.
She is.
All right, so we will end it there, guys. So that will wrap up our Wizard of Oz series. I have no idea what our next one's going to be.
I have a good suggestion.
What's the suggestion?
If we're sticking with the Wizard of Oz theme, and we did brains, hearts, and courage today, which I feel did great. I think tomorrow we should do like a wizard behind the curtain theme, and like how people lie to you. And how, like, even though you have all of this heart and brains and courage, how can we decipher, the people on the other side that are lying to you? Whether it's clients lying to you,
Mhm.
Carriers lying to you, how can you be a good agent and pick up on those lies? What are some, and this is just a suggestion, we don't have to do this, but I'm just thinking like a wizard behind, because I use that term all the time. When I'm talking to people, it's like, well, it's agencies, it's like the wizard behind the curtain. They're giving you all these images, but as soon as you pull that curtain, it's an old, ugly, smelly man who's trying to tell you to do things.
I'm trying to figure out how we can throw in like the flying monkeys as a point out of them.
Yeah.
I'll just start
We'll talk
throwing
later.
stuff. I'll start throwing stuff out.
Melting can be
Yeah.
their objections.
The objection flying monkey.
You want to know the worst part about this, and this is what winds up now. There's a new Kia commercial. That's a Wizard of Oz commercial. That literally came out like 2 or 3 days ago since we started this.
Who's listening?
So that is yeah. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you everybody for tuning in, for watching. Thank you for participating. If you are a senior out there who needs help, please call us. We are here to actually help you. We're not here to hurt you. And you can tell we are not based in India. We are not a call center that's doing that. As I've seen it on multiple forums from people talking about their parents getting 6 or 7 calls a day, and their parents getting cussed out for saying, put me on the do not contact list. And it's somebody who barely speaks any English. So that is not what you get here. Here you get us and 3 more people. That's it. So if you're a senior, call us. If you're an agent, go sell something. Thanks, guys.